Hey guys, welcome back to the Ultimate Goosebumps Man channel, and today I am here to bring you another book review, finally, after a couple of months of me not doing reviews or anything like that. I'm finally back to give you guys another book review, and later, another episode review. Hopefully I'll be able to post them in the same time frame, we'll see. But today, I'm going to be reviewing Goosebumps book number 8, The Girl Who Cried Monster. Now, this book is an interesting commodity, or oddity, I should say. I don't know how to describe this book, really. It's a very interesting experience to read, especially after someone who's seen the episode and loves the episode, and having never read the book before. I think that the book is okay. Compared to the episode, it's definitely the lesser of the two. And I'll get into more of that in my episode review for it. But I think Girl Who Cried Monster is definitely one of those books that does not really fit a full-length Goosebumps book around like 120, 130 pages. The plot just doesn't fit that full length. It's still a solid book. I still enjoyed it. I don't think it's horrible by any means. It's no Curse of Mummy's Tomb or Monster Blood, in my opinion. Or Be Careful What You Wish For, which we'll get into that in a later review. But oh boy, that book was rough. But Girl Who Cried Monster, still a solid book. It was not horrible. I did not hate my experience reading it. But it does have its shortcomings in comparison to the episode, which again, I've seen first. I love the episode. It's a top 10 episode for me. I'll get into more of that in that episode review. But again, as someone who saw the episode first and read the book after, I do think the book kind of falls short in a few instances compared to the episode. So, before I get into those thoughts, what is the book about? The book basically follows a main character, Lucy Dark, who lives in this town. I can't remember the name of the town, but she lives in this town with her family, her two parents, and her younger brother, Randy. And Lucy loves to tell monster stories. This is her whole thing. She's obsessed with it. She loves making up all these random monsters to scare her little brother. Like, she comes up with one called the Toe Biter, which is a really goofy, it's a thing that she comes up with there, and she pretends to be the victim of him just to scare Randy. And she does this all the time to the point where her friends, family, everyone are sick of it. She has a best friend named Aaron. And at the same time, they are a part of this summer reading program, her and Aaron, called Reading Rangers at the local library, run by the librarian, Mr. Mortman. Now, Mr. Mortman's a strange dude. This described in the book as him having like really wet hands, which is weird. He talks very soft and very just kind of eerie. And he has a weird fascination with, pet turtles he has kept. And just, he's a very weird guy overall. And Lucy just finds something off about him. And so one day, after forgetting her rollerblades at the library, Lucy goes back to get them, and while there, she sees Mr. Mortman, and she discovers that he begins to eat flies. These flies that he is feeding his turtles, he starts to eat them, and as she watches, he turns into a monster. And she freaks out, leaves the library, and is basically desperately trying to convince her parents and Randy and Aaron and everybody around her that Mr. Mortman is a monster. But much like the title is playing on, it's a play on The Boy Who Cried Wolf, because of the fact that she has told so many monster stories, nobody believes her, and she has to try and figure out a way to prove Mr. Mortman is a monster, which leads to, it has some pretty creepy, tense scenes here and there, and leads to a very unexpected twist that you either love or hate. I'm kind of in the middle on it, but I'll get to that. So that's basically the plot of Girl Who Cried Monster in a nutshell. It's a solid story. Again, I think the problem with it, with trying to fit it into like a 120, 130 page book, is that it is kind of repetitive. It gets very repetitive with the whole idea of like the whole "you gotta believe me" thing that's in a lot of Goosebumps books, particularly the Slappy books. That's the very common trope that Goosebumps follows that Stein really loves. And it kind of hurts this book. I don't think the "you gotta believe me" formula is necessarily bad if it's done right, like in Night of the Living Dummy 2. But in here, it just gets kind of stale and repetitive. It's just constantly Lucy trying to tell her parents that Mr. Mormon's a monster. They don't believe her. It constantly happens throughout the book. There's tons of different scenes of her trying to find proof of Mr. Mormon being a monster, and those scenes are fine enough. I think the scenes with Monster Mormon in the library, particularly one near the middle of the book where Lucy's trapped in the library and Mr. Mormon like knows she is there and is hunting for her, is really effective and really creepy. Again, I think it's done better in the episode, but still a really good scene. And overall, I think that, again, despite some repetitive stuff, the book is fine. I think Lucy is an okay main character. You know, you don't hate her or anything, but she is kind of annoying. Her constant, you know, making up these monster stories to scare her friends and her brother. It's very prevalent in that first, like, probably like first third of the book. And it does kind of get old after a while. Her character is just, it's kind of annoying as well how, like, she handles telling her parents and trying to convince them that Mr. Mormon's a monster. It doesn't really work very well. You know, a lot of the characters in this book are not great. They're okay, but not great. Again, they're handled better in the episode. Now, Mr. Mormon. I do like Mr. Mormon a lot in the book. I think he is very creepy. He's very weird in that sense. I think the description of how his monster form looks is very similar to what the episode does, but it's still a bit weird, and it's good. I still really like it. I think the description is very eerie, and just the way it does it, they describe like the transformation and the stuff he does is very disturbing, particularly a scene with his pet turtles. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you've read the book, or you've seen even like Goosebumps Aussie fan, I know has made a few videos on it in the past where he's referenced what Mr. Mormon does to these turtles. It's pretty gruesome and pretty horrific. But yeah, I think the book overall, very good. Now, talking about the twist. Now, I am going to spoil the twist, so if you don't want spoilers, click off the video now, read the book, or simply watch the episode. You can do either. It's the same twist in both. But the twist of this book is that Lucy's parents are monsters as well. So effectively making Lucy and Randy also monsters. So basically, later on in the book, their parents invite Mr. Mormon over for dinner. And while they're kind of hanging out there and, you know, making small talk and eating some like appetizers and stuff that they've prepared, Mr. Mormon asks them, well, what is for dinner? And the parents just look at each other, look at Mr. Mormon, and with a straight face just say, you are. And that's like, it's a dumb twist, but it's so, I don't know, it's just such a shocking reveal, honestly. Like, as dumb as it is, the way Stein writes it and handles it is really fun. And I think that it makes the twist more effective, and even while it is, again, it is goofy, it is kind of dumb, it works because of the way Stein wrote it. And it's just the dialogue in that scene was really fun. And just, basically, yeah, the parents are monsters. They end up eating Mr. Mormon. And then basically instructing the kids, like telling the kids, like, you know, you were all monsters. You're going to be monsters too someday. All that jazz. And it's a fun twist. It's not the best. It's kind of out of nowhere and dumb. But it works for this case of the story. And yeah, that's all I really got to say about the idea of the plot and the twist and stuff. But because of the things like the repetitive nature of it and just some minor grievances I have here and there, I still give the book about a 6 out of 10. Like, it's solid. It's a fun read. I still recommend it. It's not one I'd recommend skipping in the books. If you're like just wanting to read Goosebumps and you're looking for books to read, I don't recommend skipping Girl Who Cried Monster. It's still a classic book. There's still a lot of great elements to it. Some great atmosphere, especially in the library scenes. But if you're looking for something that's like gonna blow you away, I would probably choose something else like Say Cheese and Die or Welcome to Dead House, Ghost Next Door, you know, some of those books that I really enjoy. And I know a lot of people don't like Ghost Next Door, but I'll get into that when I do my review for that. But I'd recommend those books over this one. But again, if you're just reading through a bunch of Goosebumps books, don't skip this one. I think it's still a really fun read overall. Again, 6 out of 10, solid read. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about it. Hopefully I'll get the episode review for this out maybe today as well. I'm planning to film it right after I'm done with this, so we'll see what happens with that. But I want to thank you guys all for watching this book review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I appreciate all of you guys being here. And I hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you all next time. Have a scary day.